Hello, everyone. Today I will be presenting a paper where I show that voters who support stigmatized political parties change their vote if they know that others are watching. And the motivation for writing this paper is that we know from work in the social sciences that if there are social norms against a given behavior, people are likely to refrain from engaging in that behavior, which is usually called preference falsification. Of course, this is very hard to show empirically because one needs to basically show that what people do when they can be observed is different from what they would do if they were not being observed. So what I want to do with this paper is precisely to provide observational evidence showing this phenomenon of preference falsification. And concretely, I exploit a peculiarity of the Spanish voting system and the unique decision by the Electoral Commission that made private voting not possible in one of 4 elections happening in the same day. Basically, the voting procedure in Spain is such that there is one ballot per political party running for the election. And individuals vote by picking the specific ballot that corresponds to their preferred party, putting it inside an envelope and putting that envelope inside the ballot box. Now, to make sure that individuals can keep their vote choice private, voting stations have these booths with another set of ballots in them. So people can pick their ballot and insert it in the envelope there behind closed curtains, which of course ensures that their vote choice remains private. However, it should be noted that this is not mandatory. Individuals can also pick their ballots outside this voting booth from a table that is observable to everyone in the room, as is shown in this picture here. Now, of course, if they do so, if they vote outside the booth, their vote choice becomes potentially observable to others. So what I will do in this paper is to exploit one case where these voting booths were not available, and so people had to vote outside, like in this picture. What happened was that Spain had elections on May 26, 2019, and given the multi-level structure of its government, the region of Menorca in the Balearic Islands had 4 simultaneous elections taking place in the same day. And this meant that there should be 4 different voting booths in each voting station, 1 per election taking place. However, the Electoral Commission decided that there was not enough space and that in the city of Ciutadella de Menorca, there would be no voting booths available for European elections, but there would be for the remaining elections. So basically, when people went to cast their vote for the European elections, they were told that they could not do it privately inside one of the booths and that they had to do it out in the open. However, they could still cast their vote privately inside a voting booth for the remaining 3 elections that took place in the same day. So basically what this allows me to do is to compare what people do when they cannot be observed, meaning when they can vote inside the booth, to what they do when they can be observed, meaning when they have to vote outside the booth, as was the case for the European elections. And then what I do is to run difference in differences models that compare the within voting station variation between different types of elections. European elections that have no voting booths available in 2019, and the remaining elections that always have voting booths available. And the outcome is the vote for the Spanish Partido Popular, which is a party that was initially formed by ministerial elites from the dictatorship and which has been stigmatized in the democratic period in Spain. Okay, so let's look at the findings. Here you see the evolution of the vote for the Partido Popular depending on whether an election is for the European Parliament in blue or not in red. And basically you can see that the trends seem to be fairly parallel prior to 2019. And then in 2019, the vote share for the party decreases more in European elections than in the remaining ones. And this decrease is of around 1.5 to 2 percentage points, depending on model specification, which corresponds to 7 to 9% of the baseline. Then I also run some complementary individual level analysis based on data from a survey that was run after the election in November 2019 to basically check for the individual level mechanism. And here I show that voters of the Partido Popular are 6 to 13 percentage points more likely to use the private voting booth and thus keep their vote choice private than are supporters of the remaining parties. And I also show that voters of this party who do use the private voting booth to cast their vote are more uncomfortable discussing their political views during the survey interview. So all in all, I believe this provides observational evidence that individuals with stigmatized preferences tend to falsify those preferences when they perceive that they are being watched. And in so doing, I think the paper highlights how the translation of preferences into behavior is not a given, because individuals tend to survey their social environment before they decide whether or not to reveal their private preferences. And I think the paper also shows how even seemingly minor changes to the voting procedures can significantly affect electoral outcomes. Thank you very much.